back here to episode 2 of, I guess, the mini podcast series. I think I'm going to call this the simulator chats. Kind of just makes the most sense considering I'm going to be playing the 18-hole simulator rounds and just kind of talking through them. So today I'm playing Donoma Pass. I believe it could be a real course. Correct me if I'm wrong down below in the comments, but I tried to look it up and I believe it's just a fictional course that was created for these simulators. I was only able to play 14 holes. This is filmed the same day as my episode 1 podcast, which was at Coeur d'Alene Resort. So I ran out of time towards the end, was only able to get 14 holes in, but figured I'd still kind of post it and kind of talk about some different topics today than maybe just my game. Just kind of this talk's going to be more about just the golf, I guess the golf industry as a whole, PGA, LIV, and some other things that I'm just kind of interested to talk about and maybe get some feedback from other people and get some thoughts and how everyone feels about them. So this round I will start by saying was definitely a struggle for me. I think this was the first time I played in about 2 to 3 months. So playing 18 holes, you saw I shot an 80, and then coming in here and playing another 14 holes, and I'm probably shot, you'll see at the end, but I think I probably shot around an 80 again this round. Taking 160 swings after not playing for several months was, towards the end I was getting tired, my form was falling apart, I really didn't play well, so didn't want to focus too much talking this time around on like my golf game and where I'm looking to improve, considering it was the same round as my prior episode. So there's not much more that I can touch on that I've kind of grown or focused on. And I think prior to even playing this round, I was taking some swings on the driving range on the simulator just to kind of warm up, get loose. But anyways, kind of just talking about today's topics. One of the things I wanted to start with is, I know that I've talked about it before a lot with people I know, but I'm interested in the future in building or creating a golf course. Buying one and renovating it, kind of finding something already established and rebuilding it, or getting a plot of land and building one myself. I've always thought that that'd be something that was interesting to kind of do, and I just wanted to get, I don't know, I feel like other people might have the same idea. And for anyone that does, leave a comment down below of, just got a couple questions here of if you were to build a golf course, what would you want it to look like? Would you build a fully private course, a semi-private, or a fully public course? I think of would you have the resort courses, gosh, I'm blanking on the name of it now. It's in the Ozarks. I'll think about it and get back to it. But you have a course out there where it's like a resort and you can go stay and play, and they have 2 different types of courses. Or would you just like to have a local municipal course? I think obviously to start I would like to go with more of a local municipal course. Ideally, I've kind of always said I would like to go with, if I could and had the money and the space to do it, I would like to do 2 18-hole courses. One that's more of a beginner to mid-level course, and then one that's more of an expert or champion level course. I think it'd be fun to have the 2 courses, one that can be more for casual golfers, more for the entertainment aspect, more for hanging out with people and your friends, and the other one for more of skilled golfers or people that want to go out there and challenge themselves. And having the 2 different options would be, I think, beneficial to everybody. And obviously that would take a lot of money and space to do, but I think it would be kind of a cool idea. It's just something I've thought about. But what style would you go with, and where would you want to build a golf course? If you were to build a golf course today, would you want to go to Arizona? Would you want to go to Florida, Texas, or would you want to go in the north where maybe in the winter you can't play? You have the Midwest where similar situation like Colorado and the Kansas, Missouri area where it gets cold in the winter, but you might still be able to play some rounds because it doesn't get too cold in some of those areas. But just kind of your thoughts on that. Another thing I want to talk about was I've been hearing a lot circulating around PGA Tour and LIV. And there currently is I'm trying to think of it. I think it's a 1-year suspension from your last round played on tour for any LIV player currently to go back to the PGA Tour. So Bryson DeChambeau, for example, if he wanted to go back to the PGA Tour, he would have to sit out for 1 year from LIV before he could go back to the PGA. I heard a couple guys that might be considering doing that early to get back on the PGA Tour, and I'm just curious if you think the 1 year suspension should be still given. I personally feel like if you're the PGA Tour and you want to get your guys back and you want to take full reign over the golf, like professional golf community again, I would offer anyone a one-time opportunity to come back. There would be no 1 year suspension. They could come back and start at the start of like the 2026, start of 2027, like it'd be the start of a new season. But you have to pay a fine. These guys made tons of money on LIV. They can pay like a $2 to $5 million fine. Come back. They don't have the year-long suspension where they sit out, because if you sit out, if those guys sitting out for LIV, they're going to be losing money from not playing their contract and sitting out. And I would just try to bring them back in. And if I'm also the PGA Tour, I'm reaching out to LIV and trying to partner with them and kind of make it like a second Korn Ferry Tour. Kind of make it where PGA is the ultimate goal for everyone to get to, but where like LIV, Korn Ferry Tour, these are options for people to kind of work their way through to get to the PGA. Almost like the minor league system in baseball at that point. Because the question is if a lot of these guys leave, what happens to LIV? Like if the Bryson DeChambeaus leave, Phil Mickelson retires, for example, like a lot of these big name players, if they go back to the PGA Tour or, like I said, retire, and LIV doesn't have these big names anymore, all that money they're paying is going to kind of, like, they're not going to make it in return from their events. So just want to get thoughts on that. If anyone has any ideas, I would say maybe they take the route of going with the creators. Like we just had the Creator Invitational a few months ago. You have guys like Brad Dahlke, the Bryan Bros, that are really, really talented YouTube golfers. And I would take them and give them an opportunity to use LIV as a way to work potentially towards the PGA Tour. I'm not saying these guys could always compete with PGA Tour level players. There's definitely, like, those upper end guys like the Bryan Bros and Brad Dahlke who are playing at a level where they could compete on tour. And then you have another set of guys below that who are very good, and they would probably make very good careers and have very good careers on the PGA Tour. It gives them an opportunity to build their way to the tour without going through Q School and then playing on the Korn Ferry and kind of going through that long process. I know recently, like, Grant Horvat was given an exception, I believe. I don't know the full details behind it, to kind of play on tour. I think he may have declined it because he wasn't able to film, and that was kind of the point of what he wanted to do with the content. Again, I don't know all the details with that, but I feel like using LIV and the PGA partnering with LIV to give an option for, like, the creator, like the people to go through where they can still be paid, or they can go out and film and play in these tournaments, similar to like a Pro-Am, and compete, and if you have success, then maybe you can get on tour. And again, that's for the people that want to do it. I'm not saying that all of these players want to do it. It's just a thought, like, what would happen to LIV in the event that all the big name LIV players go back to the PGA Tour, retire? Because I feel like they have a lot of money invested in that league already. There's already a pretty decent following for it, so why let it kind of just like fizzle out? Why not do something with it and try to build on from there? Kind of another topic here is, I don't know, you hear it talked about a lot, and I don't think anyone really has a solution. I don't know if there really is a solution, but as the game continues to grow, there seems to be a pace of play issue. I've played local municipal courses in my area where it's been 5.5, 5 to 5.5 hour rounds, and I've played rounds where it's been like 3 hours and 45 minutes. It all, I feel like, depends on the day, and I don't know. You hear people talk about, like, why do we have 10-minute gaps between tee times? Make the gaps larger. Maybe you have people playing the wrong tee boxes where they don't hit the ball as far, but they're playing the tips and they want to get the most out of the golf course. I don't think there's anything wrong with anything that anyone's doing on the course. If you're keeping pace of play, you should be able to play from any tee box. You should be able to go out there and enjoy the course like anyone else who's paying to do the same as you. There's definitely a way to pick it up, maybe cut down talking in between shots, making sure that, like, we're playing ready golf. We're not on tour. It doesn't always have to be like, oh, this person's the furthest putt away, so we're going to wait for that person to come up, read their putt, and hit it. If someone else is starting the green ready to hit, just hit. There's no point in waiting. So I'm just curious what anyone would say and have any ideas on, like, what you would do at the pace of play. How could you improve it? Because I personally want the game to continue to grow. I don't, like, you hear people be like, shrink the game. I don't want to shrink the game. I think growing the game adds the most value. It adds the most value from every level, top down, and it's another sport to help kids get into and find a passion for, and then kind of grow, go to college, play, and then maybe eventually chase some sort of professional career. It's also something that you see a big space growing in the online community with YouTube, TikTok, like the creators or the influencers, however you want to classify those people. But I'm just curious if anyone would have any ideas on the pace of play aspect. And kind of touching on that, I feel like there's such a bad reputation for the tee boxes, because they're called like the junior tees or the senior tees, and you have the women's tees, then you have the whites, and then you have, which is your typical men's, and then you have the other, some courses have multiple, but say there's only 3. Say there's women's, men's, and tips. There's a golf course that I have near me, and they changed the tee boxes so it doesn't say reds, white, and blues. It doesn't say men's, women's, so on and so forth. They have 5 tee boxes, and they're labeled 1 to 5. I am going to actually do it this off-season. Not this off-season, during the season, and maybe like pre-season, for the golf season starting. I'm going to play a lot of rounds this year from the reds, or the forward tees, I should say. The most of the time that players are racking up the scores and taking extra shots isn't off the tee box, it's around the green. And the way to improve your scores and get better at scoring, and you hear a lot of professionals say it, you hear a lot of the bigger influencers say it, if you want to learn to score on the golf course, play from the reds, play from the front tees, turn your par 4s, and instead of 375-yard, 400-yard par 4s, make them 285 yards. Now you're talking about a wedge or a mid-iron in on your second shot, and that is the area of the game where you can develop the most. I feel like there's, like I said, there's a lot of things in the golf community. A lot of people worry about, I've had people comment on my TikTok videos being like, it's time for you to swing harder. You only put the ball out there 185 yards with your driver, as I just hit a drive about 217 on the video here. I kind of mentioned in my first video, I'm not swinging for distance right now. For example, I'm swinging to improve my swing, become a better golfer, and then just put the ball out in play and keep it in play. The distance will come once I get my swing under control and I feel more comfortable and confident swinging the club. I have no problems right now personally going out and playing the front tees. I don't care what other people think or what other people say, but I feel like there's part of that community out there that's so negative towards people not like, oh, you're playing the women's tees, oh, you're playing the front tees, oh, you don't hit the ball that far, oh, I'm hitting a 5-iron and this guy's hitting a 9-iron, like, that you don't have the same power. None of that matters. The point of the game is to have fun, to go out and relax, and enjoy and play. You're not playing for money. There's no competition aspect to it unless you're kind of wanting to chase that and achieve that, but you also shouldn't be shaming people for, wanting to go out there and just enjoy a nice day on the golf course. So I feel like part of the fix to pace of play might be just an overall change to the tee box naming, or maybe just the idea that playing a front tee is a bad idea. So like I said, I think just because I want to work on my scoring and become a better player overall, I'm going to be playing the front tees a lot this year, and I really don't care what people say online or what people think of it, because at the end of the day, I'm going out there, I'm enjoying my time, and I'm going to keep doing that. So just something to touch on with pace of play, and there's a ton of ideas that I've heard out there, but I know the other thing is, and you have one whole side of people out there that are like, there should be less golf courses just take up space, golf courses provide no value, living by golf courses increases your chance of getting cancer. There's all these negative things about golf courses, and you have the whole other side of the community that's like, we need more golf courses. Golf courses is a good way to have natural landscape habitats, but you can also utilize that space. So think about, like, you have national parks, for example, where you can't develop houses on them, and it allows animals and other things to kind of use that area freely, people to go out and walk and enjoy that space. Golf courses can be viewed the same way. I mean, obviously we don't want to build them in the middle of cities all the time, but there's a lot of land and a lot of places outside of cities. We live in a very large country, and putting a golf course in some of these areas, it's going to bring people out to those areas. And it's also going to preserve the land where animals can continue to live in that area. And yeah, they might be kind of impacted in some sense with people walking around all the time, but it's not as impacted as if you put a bunch of houses on the land. So I feel like not necessarily, that might not help the pace of play, because just by adding more golf courses isn't going to help the pace of play, unless by having more golf courses you have more places for people to book tee times, which means you can space out your tee times a little more. It could be a whole trickle-down effect, but not to kind of go too far onto that. But I was just curious about the pace of play. I hear a lot of people complain about it online. I personally don't have that much of an issue with it. I would rather not stand on every tee box for 10 minutes, for example, but I really haven't experienced that too much in the areas that I've played. And even if I did stand on the tee box for a little bit of time, I'm still hanging out with people. We can still talk. I'm still having a good time. If I want to go out there and play a quick round, I'm going to book the first tee time of the day as a solo and show up to the course early, which I've done several times before, and be like, I'm a solo. Can I go out 10 minutes before the start of the tee times and just play ahead? And I've done that, and I've played around in 2.5 hours before on a shorter course, because I'm playing as a solo. There's no talking. I walk up to my shot, I hit, move on to the next one. So just a little bit on pace of play. Kind of, like I said, touched a little bit on the PGA Tour LIV situations that I'm hearing a lot about right now circulating. But any thoughts on any of these things, just feel free to leave a comment down below. Again, I kind of mentioned before, I think I'm gonna call this series the simulator chats, and they're gonna be a little different each time. If you haven't listened to the first episode, I spent a lot of time talking about my current golf game, what I'm looking to do to improve, kind of the areas I'm going to focus on, and kind of think about those things. This episode was more kind of just all over. Talked about like golf course designs. I feel like designing a golf course would be a lot of fun. Kind of touched on LIV, PGA Tour, kind of just the current events going on in the golf space. And then I also kind of just touched on pace of play, like some issues of that people are complaining about in the golf community. But overall, I mean, I feel like as a sport, as it continues to grow, there's a lot of things that are going to continue to change. There's a lot of obstacles that are going to come up, and it's just like with everything in life, there's only so much that you can control, and just not letting those things dictate or control you is the most important thing. So even if pace of play is slow or I struggle to find tee times, I'm still going to look for those tee times. I'm still going to go out and play. I'm still going to go out and enjoy that time. I think the last thing, as I kind of have like a minute left here to touch on, and again, if you've stayed this long into the video, I really do appreciate it. All the support, and any support is always appreciated as I hopefully continue to grow and expand into what I'm doing on here. But the last thing I want to talk about is, like, you hear a lot of people talk about the Ryder Cup format and kind of what the PGA Tour can do to make it more entertaining for people to watch and tune in. I just want to know your thoughts. I don't know. I actually have no direct ideas. I haven't thought about it or looked into it too much, and I probably won't, honestly, because I don't spend a lot of time watching sports events on TV, as I would rather be outside and, you know, playing rather than watching. But I'll watch like the Masters, I'll watch some of the bigger tournaments, but I'm not sitting there watching every golf tournament every weekend. So just kind of some thoughts, anything that anyone would do to kind of make the PGA Tour interesting. I'm just curious to hear what anyone has to say. But as we wrap up here, this will be the last putt that I'm able to hit on this. I guess I played 14 holes on this course, but so this will wrap up episode number 2. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.